Hi, and welcome to this week's episode hosted by Gray and Mark Law of St John's Health and Fitness and Mark Elm of Leeds Beckett University, where we take training theory and science onto the gym floor.
Morning, boys.
Morning. It's the morning, isn't it? Yeah, it's just the morning, yeah.
Good to have you back. Joining us in person today, Al.
We're in it now.
Yeah, shuffling. Come in.
Shuffling.
Just in case.
We are recording for YouTube, so just in case.
We are, yeah. So welcome back, everybody. This is episode 44 of the Yorkshire Fitness Podcast.
Yes. First one of 2025.
Yeah, very good. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah,
Happy New Year.
So, as it is a new year, a big thing that we have been discussing, both in the gym, both at home, probably mates, family, is New Year's resolutions, isn't it?
Yes.
So it's a bit of a hot topic at the minute. So, lots and lots of discussing with people how they're going to change their lives, what 2025 is going to bring them. And we spend half of the time trying to dampen things down, just saying, let's just not try and build Rome in one day or whatever they used to say.
Yeah.
So we just said we'll have a meet up and have a little chat about that. If we can just help people, just guide people a little bit about now. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to reinvent the wheel in 2025 and in January especially. And anyway, that's it. So we'll have a real good chat and see if we can help.
Well, I'm going to say, because I think when we've started, I think this is the thing with all our podcasts. I think the main connection is with them all in it. Every one of them comes down to habits, being sustainable, not trying to aim too high, that you can't do the things, like I think it was Belly who said, which I loved it, that raise your floor, not your ceiling, do you know what I mean? But everybody wants to raise the ceiling in January, don't they? But they come crashing back down to their floor level before. There was the Jamie Jones rule canon that I'd mentioned. I think another one. No. Mine was the consistently average one.
Yeah.
You don't have to be above 7.5 if you don't drop below 7.3. It's just that a new year, everybody wants to start with a bang.
I think we need to rebrand our podcast the habitual average group.
Yeah. That's great. You know what? I've used it with kids. You know what I mean? I try using it.
You took a photo of me with me. I found a pebble and
So it is, and we keep trying to send the same message because everybody wants it. Do you know what I mean? We don't have to start and be totally somebody totally different in January, same as we don't have to be somebody different on a Monday, do we? It's just dropping back into doing more of the right stuff more consistently.
Like I say, if you probably go back and listen to all of his podcasts, and the big thing is, it does come down to doing the same thing, getting into that habit, forming the right habits for the rest of your life. So anyway, but just before we came on, we said we'd just have a chat about just what is new, why do people?
I think that's a really why is. If you go back in history, there's obviously a reason why New Year's resolutions came about, but obviously over the last 20, 30 years, fitness and health became the thing that was taken over by New Year's resolutions. So why do people come 1st of January want to kind of reinvent the wheel in terms of health and fitness? There's a couple of things that I was kind of thinking about over last week when I said we were going to do this. One is I think it's a pendulum effect, isn't it? So let's say like people are quite healthy October, November. They're the normal routine, if you like, and they're relatively healthy for them. December kicks in and the pendulum swings way out to the left. It's you choose your poison, I suppose, but you're being unhealthy. I mean, chocolate and nights out and meals out and drinks with friends and all that kind of stuff kicks in, and it's like a month-long barrage of like being healthy.
I can prove that with my heart rate variability.
I can prove it. It's not an obvious way.
honestly, my heart rate variability on my watch, right, on my app, so my sleep scores and all the things from the 1st of December, they gradually start lowering. On 23rd December, I go into amber, and by Boxing Day I'm in red, and I'm on it 4 days back in green now. And I'm not a massive drinker, but I've been going to bed later because of whatever. Because you're seeing people, your diet is different. You can't help it. You're going to see people. You're getting fed by other people. Their food is different to what you eat. All your routine is thrown out, And honestly, so you can see it. So
We'll
yeah,
have to
so
we'll have to attach a screenshot. Of
yeah,
that
yeah,
really
I'll show it. December's
it's almost like as gym night out. You can sort of see
December
and then boom, down into red. Mine's a little bit less scientific. When we went to Eve's leaving do on Saturday, 4th of January, I mean, I've got the same pair of jeans. I've got like 2 pair of jeans. About 5 years. So I know,
I've walked by now.
I know for the fact my jeans have always been for years, and I went and I was like, oh, it was quite hard to put it on. I've had a bit too much cheese. Just little bits, and I'm like him. I hadn't abused myself. Probably had a little bit extra to drink when you'd go and you're meeting family and you're going out for the pub with your mates and you go have a pint like we did the other week when you come back here. But and probably an extra glass of wine at home because you're not driving, you're not going anywhere with kids, and it's nice to let your hair down and just relax a little bit. But I didn't come back panicking, going, oh my God, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I've got to go on a massive diet. It's just like I just want to get back into the routine that I were in before Christmas.
Yeah, I agree. So I think a lot of people will go that massive pendulum swing to the left, going being real and healthy. They start to feel the effects of that come kind of mid-Christmas week, and then it starts to have the pendulum wants to swing the opposite way just as hard.
Yeah, so we work on extremes, don't we?
Yeah.
People love extremes, don't they?
And something that Johnny mentioned in our last podcast, I think the shame bears chasing you, isn't it? That news, like I think a lot of people look back and maybe not kind of extremely ashamed, but are like a little bit of. A lot of people have that experience of you go, I can't fit in my clothes anymore, and then not come with an emotional response. I feel a shame response to that, and go, I need to do something drastic about this because I want to do it now. I need that quick fix. I want to feel much better now, and therefore I'm going to do something very, very extreme now.
Dry January.
Yeah.
Dry January is a massive thing, isn't it? But but we've said it all along, haven't we? The ones who do dry January binge in February. So like, why do that? Why not just, pull back a little bit, obviously, and just go back to what you did before? I mean, if you're not a massive drinker, just pull back to what you did before. And if you have a couple of beers on a Saturday or a Sunday or whatever your day is or whatever, it's no big deal. You don't have to go dry January and then be craving it and have that, like mad.
You have to go silly, run every day, do you? You don't have to do it as daft as that.
You hear odd success story, don't you, from dry January, where it's changed somebody's life and they've gone, you know what, I just don't need alcohol anymore. I don't need to be drinking. So they either stop drinking or they cut right back. Everybody who I know, I don't know anybody that's actually a success story. I read it.
Carl is the one.
Oh yeah, he did.
Carl did a 40 days challenge and you couldn't drink for 40 days. Yeah. You're like, if you did, you know what I mean? Like you were trying to restrict it, but you're just trying to restrict it as well.
Yeah.
And he didn't drink for 40 days, and he has now gone 12 months now without having a drink. It just says, I realised I didn't need drink.
But dry January, generally, nearly everybody who comes to this gym who does dry January, the 1st of February, done usually. Absolutely.
Yeah, he's like counting down the days out there.
Can't wait. Yeah, just count down.
So like days of achievements, like I am X days away from a drink.
And then they come and you see them next day and it's like, oh my God, I was in the right state.
I think I shared a podcast with you about another one about kind of the insults you get, the kind of the psychological insults when you're depriving yourself. You're making it more likely to overdo it when that period goes over. You're driving yourself into this kind of bad behaviours.
Extreme diets, shreds, all the things that we've talked about before. That what like you said, whatever you're depriving yourself of, you do, it just comes back on because you've done. We're wanting that quick thing, aren't we? And one of the things I listened to one of the lads who trains here, we've been talking about this very thing the morning as we're training, and he sent me a bit of an Instagram reel that somebody goes, can you believe this has just flashed up after we've been talking about it this morning? And it were on about, like, you do not get fit, you do not get in good shape from doing a 90-minute or even a 9 hours training session or whatever you're going to do. You get fit and you get in good shape by just, like, consistently doing it. And he says, and one day, so if you just do the right things every day, small amounts, and do it, says one day you will wake up and he goes, I can't tell you when. There's no time thing on it. I can't say, well, in 3 months or in 6 months. He goes, but one day you'll wake up and you'll look and you'll be in front of me and you go, hey, I'm in decent shape. Because it comes over time, doesn't it? You don't get fit in January, do you? You don't change your health, long-term health in January. You change it by the following January and the January after that and the January after that. Because you just keep going, don't you? And you just, 80-20, all the things.
Go on.
I'm gonna say, like, we're 15, 16 years into doing this, aren't we now? So we've come across training people.
Yeah.
We've been doing it ourselves a lot longer, but we've like actually PT classes 15 years. So we've had like 15 years of Januaries, and people wanting to hit it hard and seeing gyms absolutely rammed and just saying because it just doesn't work. It 100% doesn't work. The ones who hit it too hard in January just fall off. They've gone by February, March.
It's because of what you said, though. That
brilliant. Thank you. My checks in the post.
It's what you said. It's that extreme. That farthest way. They've got to do that in January to make themselves. It's like you said, it's probably shame. All the things that we do. And you've nailed it with that one.
That massive overreaction. See, like if you had 2 weeks of excess, the reality is that you haven't probably had a physical change that much, because that feeling of I have made a massive dent in my own health, self-esteem, well-being, all those things we mentioned. And our last one, the people go, I need to do something drastic about that to fix it. I need to feel like I fixed it now. I need to get back to that 0 point now. And nobody wants to hear, well, if you just do something every day for the next 30 days, even if it's something very, very small, you'll be okay. But that isn't the message that people want to hear. But we sound like we're bashing New Year's resolutions. And I think there's value in them. But it's what you put in them.
Exactly,
I think just before we start recording, you said, if you're going to do a New Year's resolution, I think brilliant, great. Everybody should be happy to change their life for the better if that's what they want to do. But write it in November.
I think start it in November.
Yeah.
I'm okay with not doing that because you're going to be realistic. Was one of our pillars we talked about last time. If you know that, like, for example, my exercise, training, lifestyle is very much centered around kind of my working life. And I know in Christmas, I have 2 weeks off work and I've got 2 weeks on with the kids. So I know that if I'm going to put something in place, starting in November is never going to carry on because those 2 week period, I know, like the hand grenade goes off, the kids are at home, I'm at home with the kids. It's a complete change, but my more consistent routine is going to be when I'm back at work. So I'm okay with that if that's how that applies to you. But if Christmas doesn't really impact your lifestyle massively, other than that of choice, then yeah, great, November. If you know, like I'm going to do something in New Year's Eve. If that's your mindset to do something in the New Year's resolution, write what I'm going to do in November, and then you can. Because we talked about just before we started recording, it's called the trans-theoretical model of behaviour change, and you have to be going from pre-contemplation, which is I'm not interested in change, to contemplation. I'm thinking about change. So if you're thinking about change, November's a really good time to start thinking about change, to take action in January.
We're recording this podcast a bit late, then, aren't we?
We are. What we'll do is we'll just episode we'll just repeat this one in November, just hang it out there.
I still think because all we do is we're them believers, aren't we? About like don't ruin your weekend because you're going to start something on Monday. Just start it. If you're saying I'm going to start again on Monday, just do a little bit on Friday, do a little bit on Saturday.
Because going
by
back,
Monday, you're already ahead of the game then. So if in November somebody goes, I'm going to New Year, my goal for 2025 next year is this. If they start, even if it's just a little bit in November, it doesn't have to continue daily. Even if they have a break up Christmas, come 1st of January, they're already ahead of the game a little bit.
But on your days when you can do something in December, still do your bits, what you're trying to do, and then
we're not locked out for 2 weeks constantly.
But it's like damage limitation a bit as well for Christmas, isn't it? You're still getting a bit of positive stuff, so you're not going as far to the left or whichever way you want to call it. You know what I mean? You're not swinging to that extreme, and you're maintaining a little bit of balance in between, aren't you? So you're already trying to build that habit that's going to be sustainable. Because if you can't sustain any kind of health over Christmas, then even if you let you relax a little bit, you still want to have a little bit of health, and you can't just go cautious. But going back to that, no, you shouldn't. But going back to that, then, so when else do you think is the other big reset that we get all the time from gyms?
Oh, I'm probably going to say somewhere in the middle of the summer when people come back off the holidays.
It's September.
September
is another reset. And I think that, again, though, that's the start at school year. And we've all still got that ingrained in us, haven't we? Because if we've got kids, you went to school, then you have kids. So September is still the start of a new year, isn't it, again? In theory, that's the start of another new year. Yeah. That everybody comes on holiday.
I used to get September and January mixed up.
Because
I'm not sure which was the start of the new year, as in the calendar year, because I used to think September to me was start a new year because I'm starting new year of school.
Yeah.
And I also get.
But again, you're right, because they go on holiday for 2 weeks. Shame, come back because they're there. They've abused themselves. They've done everything they can to get in good shape while they're on holiday. Then they've had 2 weeks of just hammering it.
2 weeks.
All inclusives or whatever they're doing. They're drinking and they're eating. They come back, they see themselves, and they go, bang, September, this is me. So it's like two.
If that's the case, they need to take my 2 kids holiday. I was doing 25,000 holiday. I was exhausted.
Yeah, that's a tough age.
Yeah, I was 150 trips to the toilet a day, in and out the 4,000 times. I was like going. I'm going to the. Can we have a long flight? You just do another 5 laps of Europe.
I didn't come back this time. I didn't do it. I'm just knackered, but
you come back and you feel like you need an holiday to get over the holiday, don't you?
Like my feet were sore. I was just walking around.
You have to follow them right pools.
Yeah.
Because they're slipping all the time.
Yeah.
Falling in.
But yeah, so
much easier now, mate. We can just
I think from our point of view, we're always trying to just not people's spirits and not take their enthusiasm away, but you've got to make it realistic, haven't you? And we've got to, you've got to be helping people set realistic targets, or else you're setting them up to fail.
Absolutely.
And I was chatting to somebody at Eve's party on Saturday, and we were on about training. He was talking about he's done Ironmans and stuff like that, so he's a really fit lad anyway. So he maintains a really good level of fitness. But we're talking about how some people, they'll train for something, do an event, stop. Train for something, do it. They have to have that goal in mind. It's like, I'm training up for that goal, a bit like because goal and as well. Mindset. Goal, accomplish it, do your triathlon or whatever, stop.
Yeah.
Have time off. Don't do all just take it. But whereas if you can just maintain a pretty good level of health and fitness, if you want to do a challenge, you don't really have to train that hard for it. You can put maybe 3 or 4 weeks of training and bang, you're ready to compete. And then instead of coming back down here, you just ease off a little bit, but you've just got to find that balance, haven't you?
In it, going back to my old S&C hat on there, you would never just do the same thing year round because you've got low diminishing returns. You can't get the same training response from the same thing over and over again. So you'd start off your pre-season with the general training, you get more specific the closer you got to season. So there's a lot of that. Going back to what you mentioned there, Matt, about that consistency and realism, that's what we talked about in our pillars, and I think a lot of people just try to attack all of them all at the same time.
So you're going to fail.
So not only is it unrealistic to target all the things, but the magnitude of change becomes massive as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the gym every day. I'm going to eat like salad every meal. I'm going to have 15 hours of sleep. Like going, right, can we just do one?
Yeah.
Let's just attack one of those things.
One attack,
and get that better. And I suppose that's what we talked about in the habits as well. It takes a lot of energy to change your behaviour. It takes a lot of energy to change your habits. And doing them all in January, when actually, in terms of like mental health and mood, all those things, January's the worst month. It's like notorious for poor mental health in January because of the weather and the conditions, and everything broke after Christmas and all those things. So trying to actually kind of rob yourself of all the energy you've got and changing your entire lifestyle is probably at some point in that month going to compound how badly you feel.
Yeah.
For as much good as you're trying to do, you're then going to fail and therefore feel worse. So you're much better off going back to our podcasts 41 and 42, listen to our 7 pillars of longevity health, and think, well, which one of those is where's the biggest bang for my buck? Is it sleep? Is it diet? Is it exercise? Is it being more consistent? Like just doing one thing? Again,
even the one that you think that you can do first, the most manageable for you, because then you've got to win then, haven't you?
Absolutely,
you're starting on a win, that gives you a positive thing on it. If you start on one that's the hardest one, you think, you know what I mean? You might still feel that, and then you feel shit and you fall away from rest. But if you can get one under control, then you kick on. It gives you a little boost.
One of us, I'll give Rach a shout out here. Rach done one of us members who she did his 40-day challenge last year. She said she's just going to do it off her own accord this January. So this is a really sensible option. One of us, probably only members who's come up with a really sensible approach to New Year. She's going to use the 5 as tick boxes that we had last year in this 40-day challenge, and she's starting with one a month. And so January, I think she's just going to bring back in 2 litres of water. She's going to drink water. And then in February, she's going to add a second one in. And then in March, she's going to add a third one in. So she's just slowly. And then she's hopefully by the end of that 5th month, she'll be ticking all 5 boxes again, which is rather than just going all in. Like, top work.
Yeah. It's very good. But going back when what you just said, I always think Ricky Hatton and Floyd Mayweather Do you know when they fought?
I used it.
I
can
never ever forget that thing when they were in an interview with Floyd Mayweather after he beat Ricky Hatton. Now, this just proves where every public's mentality is. Everybody loved Ricky Hatton because he trained like mad, got ready for a fight, won his fight, and then went on a massive binge and went really out of shape. So guess what? Everybody loves him. Because you can relate to that, can't you?
Yeah.
Everybody can relate to that. And Floyd Mayweather, in his interview after he beat him, he just says, he would never be able to compete with me. He says, because he doesn't live the life. Do you know what I mean? He says, I live it. He goes, I'm never 4 weeks away from being fight ready. He says, he's 16. It takes him 4 weeks to even get ready to start training because he ends up that overweight. And as bodies don't like extremes, do they? His body wants to be like that. So we've got to make changes that are smaller, that it can adapt and it moves on. It adapts and moves on, doesn't it? And you give it, that's the adaptation rule, isn't it? We don't adapt from just 2 weeks of extreme training or 2 weeks of extreme diet and then go back to what we're doing. We adapt from in small stages. And when Floyd Mayweather said that, you just think that is just bang on. Floyd Mayweather in shape all the time because he lived it, he loved it.
Well, how much energy?
But who relates to that? Boring. Most people will go boring. Like we had it with somebody who said to me, she goes, I couldn't live like you though, man. You're boring. I'm like, really? What? So like smoking and just getting pissed everywhere. You know what I mean? Like that's just living, is it? You know what I mean? Is that what depends what your class is boring, doesn't it? But I like to feel healthy all the time. She clearly doesn't, but she wants to be in shape for a holiday. Yeah. You know what I mean? She has to do everything she can to be in shape, starve herself to be in shape for a holiday. And then you would don't see her again. Do you know what I mean?
5 times a week, not eat, just real after absolutely miserable as hell. Yeah. But as long as it's only for a short period of time, people can cope with that. But then they're like,
it's like going, really boring, ain't you?
Yeah, exactly. So it's whatever, but people don't relate to Floyd Mayweather. They relate to Ricky Hatton because that's what they look like. Oh, Gaza. We love people who've got these flaws, don't we? Because we can relate to them. We don't want to relate to Ronaldo, who lives like a bloody, you know what I mean, and does everything right to be the ultimate pro to get best out of his career.
People like us
do,
but a lot of
and to the pros, like Pitsy. Look at Pitsy, how he lives his life. It's absolutely ultra pro, is Jay. Ultra pro. You know what I mean? Whereas, we totally go, freaking amazing that class. But people love the one. Fafita. He were in Graziers till 4 in the morning at home, and then he turns up on Sunday. And they don't, you know what I mean? We love them, don't we? We think they're the characters, but
so we need to change people's mind. People just need a new mindset, don't they? They've just got to think more.
Get boring
again.
You don't have to be boring people.
Be boring drift.
Consistent drift.
The hallmark of boring is consistency.
So, as next podcast will hopefully with Belly, it's episode 2 of with Belly.
Yeah.
If not, if we can't pencil it down with him, we'll do one about the growth mindset compared to the goal mindset.
Which I think we've covered in a bit.
I think we have a little bit, yeah.
But we just haven't used the term.
No, we haven't. Because I think you need to understand it, don't you? I didn't understand it fully. I've heard it banded around loads of times, growth mindset compared to goal. Or we should all be thinking more about growth, and it's like, but then when you see it, we saw the book, and you read it, and it's like, I get it, I get the difference.
And it's switching from your extrinsic motivation, as in your goal, that all you're focused on is the body that you want to look like, to the internal one of just feeling better on yourself day after day after day. Do you know what I mean? Instead of the
growth one reworded the process really good. Everybody talks about the process. You've got to start thinking about the process of your goal, and it just reworded that, which I thought were really good.
Dipping into it, that's come from someone called Carol Dweck, who's an educational psychologist. So
is that the grit?
That was Duckworth.
Oh, well, that was
Duckworth.
Grit
was Duckworth.
Right. Okay.
And growth and fixed mindset was Carol Dweck.
Right. Okay.
Memory serves.
Yeah.
So fixed mindset is really interesting when we give ourselves labels, and this is something I think Johnny would have touched on last week in terms of I am X. So I am overweight. I am lazy. I am fit. I am boring.
Thanks.
We said I am rather than you are.
I am boring.
On the podcast, I didn't. You two might get me wrong. On the podcast, be okay. But a lot of people then have these fixed mindsets and don't. If you have that fixed mindset, you don't change, because that is who I am. So if you are somebody who is fit, for example, identifies himself as being I am fit, they don't like going for challenges because somebody might beat them and then that will then challenge.
Yeah.
But again, if you were considered to yourself to be, I don't like exercise, I don't like sport, I don't like X, don't like Y, you won't do anything that challenges that because that's your labels. The growth mindset sees everything as an opportunity to develop and improve, or just learn
and accepting failure a bit, and
and
then trying. I've seen that because it was about kids doing maths tests and stuff. I've seen that. I've read that before.
Yeah,
like if you're told that you're really smart, then like you should get that. When they come across a problem that they can't get, they just give up on it really quick, don't they? But if they're told like you try really hard, you're really good at and they tell kids that, and they give them rewards for trying, they keep trying to work it out for longer, don't they? Rather than just going, I can't do it.
Yeah, so just take on that gym floor. If you had a client, for example, you repeatedly said that you are strong. You are so strong. You are really strong. Should I put another 2.5 kilos on this one? No. What? Well, why? Because if I can't lift it, I'm not. That means I'm not strong, or not as strong as I think. You might not tell me I'm strong and have that validation. There's a lot of kind of that kind of mindset, and actually we as coaches, teachers, parents have a massive role in how we put that across to people.
Yeah.
Like a kid doesn't kind of grow up one day and identifies I am smart, I am fit, I am strong, all these things. It's what people tell them they are. They attach onto that. So that's probably a whole new podcast.
There's lots to go in there.
The psychology, it's like we were about with Belly. Psychology side of everything, massive, isn't it? Just people's mindset. I mean, none of us have got it nailed, have we? It's as if we're sat here because we've got it perfect. We've all got shit. I mean, Christ.
Well, that's what we all said when we listened to what you shared with us on that the self-worth, the body image. Like, you said, shit, this related, and I were like, oh my God, I think that. No, I ain't got an eating disorder as in I've got to go sleep it, but it's like, oh my God, I do worry about what I'm eating. I do think it's like, so you are. We're all on that spectrum.
I've got to say, just reflecting back, is listening to that first podcast and doing the one with Bell, it kind of completely changed my mindset this Christmas. Completely. So I usually get to the Christmas period, I do the same thing. I don't say don't enjoy Christmas, I really do, and I love having the kids. But I'm like, every day that I'm eating some shit or not going to the gym, which is most of Christmas, I'm like, there's something in the back of my head going, like an alarm bell going up, going, this is not good, you're not good, you're doing something wrong. Whereas this Christmas, I went, fuck it. Like, it's not affecting me. It didn't affect me at all. I was like going, all the stuff's happening now, I'll fix in January, but I'll start that process again in January. Know what I'm going to do, know how I want to train, and how I want to eat. It's fine.
But it doesn't have to be January. Just when you go back, as soon as your routine comes in, you'll kick back into it.
I won't fix it in January. The process begins again in January.
Just because that's the end of Christmas period. Because it's January. It's like if you went on holiday, you just start again in January. You don't have to fix it in first week, do you? Or second week.
Kids back at school. I'm back at work. Normal service is resumed, and we're off again. But in previous years, it had bothered me really badly on some days. I think 2 Christmas ago, I ran every day over Christmas. Like, I don't enjoy running at all.
You're making yourself.
You're
making yourself, forcing yourself to do it.
I mean, to be fair, everyone I ever do was force myself to do it. And it was because largely the gyms were all closed.
Yes, right, we'll leave it there. Yeah, very good. I think so, yeah. That's a right. Good chat, boys.
Yeah.
Very good.
And in person,
if you
all
tuned
three of us together.
If you tuned in, thanks for listening.
Share it.
Hopefully you got something out of it, and we'll kick on next time. We'll continue.
We'll grow.
Let's go.
We will. All right.
New year, new us.
Nice one, boys. See ya.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you liked the episode, we'd like you to share with us that on YouTube, Instagram and Twitter. You can listen again on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Please leave us a rating and a review, and any comments would be more than appreciated. And hopefully you'll tune back next time for our next episode.
The Yorkshire Fitness Podcast.